can't handle the truth.
Entirely legitimate topic for debate.
You have offended my family.
Hey, this is great, man.
And you have offended a Shaolin temple.
One major responsibility is to encourage people to use less drugs.
I know nothing.
I support a change in law to end federal criminal penalties for possession of up to 1 ounce of marijuana.
We don't need no stinking budget.
Homosexuality, immorality in general.
How in the century you have slurred the meaning of the words we, the people.
Be warned, this is not your mother's marijuana.
You could ask yourself a question. Do I feel lucky? Well, do you, punk?
I want to ask you a bunch of questions. I want to have them answered immediately.
Surely you can't be serious.
I am serious. And don't call me Shirley.
Radical Rant.
Well, folks, you've been following our coverage of Oregon marijuana election shenanigans and the opponents of Oregon's Measure 91. And again, that's our initiative to tax and regulate marijuana. You know that. Our opponents have been insisting since this summer that this so-called Oregon Marijuana Education Summit and Tour that took place October 1st through the 3rd, that I followed and placed online at Radical Russ on YouTube if you want to see it, that was starring the quarterback of the anti-legalization movement, Kevin Sabet. They keep insisting and have been insisting since summer that this annual October event was designed simply to educate Oregonians about the dangers of marijuana. In no way was it timed just before ballots are mailed out to spread scare stories about marijuana to depress support for Measure 91. They told us, no, it's just educational. Well, folks, we have caught them in their lie. According to a press release written by Mandi Puckett, the head of the No on 91 campaign, on September 5th, she said, quote, "My job was to help apply for state and federal grants and work with the local coalition to use that money to educate people about the dangers of using addictive substances." End quote. Again, touting the idea that it's just about education. You got to understand this. Mandi Puckett was a drug prevention coordinator for Best Care. Best Care was the rehab org that pulled its $15,000 of funding from the summit and tour once our attention to this issue went public. That Mandi Puckett is now the No on 91 campaign director. The federal grants that Best Care and other state drug prevention groups use are earmarked for drug education. Nothing wrong with that. However, there are very strict regulations that forbid that money from being used to influence an election, either for an initiative or for a state candidate. Under Oregon law and Supreme Court decisions, that does not have to explicitly be vote no on Measure 91. Because even if an event clearly intends to sway an election, it doesn't have to explicitly say so. It's political. It's not educational. Now, Puckett's press release continues, quote, "This educational summit in Madras, the accompanying tour of Oregon cities, including the timing of the events, has been in planning stages for nearly 2 years. Fall of 2012 to spring of 2014, to be exact, long before Measure 91 was on the ballot." End quote. Well, in October of 2012, they held a similar summit and tour starring Kevin Sabet, and there just happened to be Measure 80 on the ballot, which was our failed 2012 attempt to legalize marijuana. The materials from that event in 2012 and the eyewitness accounts to 420 Radio tell us that the 2012 summit and tour was openly political, with speakers warning attendees explicitly to not vote for Measure 80. Now, somehow, they were able to put on that October 2012 event after just 4 months of planning. But this event for 2014 required 2 years of planning? Or was it that everyone paying attention to the politics knew that Oregon was definitely going to have legalization on the ballot in 2014? Because oddly, there doesn't seem to be any planning for a 2013 summit and tour. That never seemed to happen. Now, unfortunately, the Measure 80 campaign never recognized these political shenanigans at the time for what they were: illegal electioneering with public money. But as a more astute Measure 91 campaign complained about this summit and tour, Puckett, in her press release, began trying to cover it up. Quote, "Later, when it was announced the measure would be on the November ballot," Puckett wrote, "we took extra steps to include in our work plan and advised presenters to not speak about the ballot measure. Our goal was to educate, not to lobby." Now, that's her trying to cover up for 2014, when they were trying to use the same tricks to spend public money to bring Kevin Sabet to town right before the election, right before we get our ballots mailed to us for legalization. There's her trying to cover it up for 2014. But in our investigation, 420 Radio has uncovered an email from Mandi Puckett dated August 29th of 2012, sent to Jefferson County District Attorney Stephen LaRich, entitled "Invite to Speak at Statewide Marijuana Summit." Remember, this is for the 2012 version, and legalization was on the ballot in 2012, which reads in part, quote, "Our educational event is intentionally planned at this time, as Measure 80 is on the November ballot to legalize marijuana. Ballots go out the week of our summit. Our intent is not to tell people how to vote, as it is to educate people and let them decide." End quote. That, folks, is the smoking gun, proving that Mandi Puckett, Stephen LaRich, and everyone involved in the 2012 summit and tour knew they were securing public money to put on a political event to affect the legalization election in 2012. And they were doing the same damn thing again in 2014 until we started shining a light on their activities with a crowd-funded open records request. Thank you so much for funding at gofundme.com/FightSabet. And if you want to give more money, hell, I still got expenses to pay. I would really appreciate it. But thanks to your donations of almost $6,000, we were able to uncover some of these and other emails that are all online for your perusal at radicalruss.com/docs. You can go through all of them. There's over 1,000 documents up there right now if you want to check them out. Now, just to follow the timeline a little bit, this Mandi Puckett, who's the No on 91 campaign director, as early as May 2014, Mandi Puckett was representing herself and Best Care as the Oregon SAM affiliate, meaning a state chapter of Kevin Sabet's national Project SAM organization, an organization dedicated to opposing marijuana legalization. In July of 2014, reps from Oregon SAM, according to the agenda, presented the topic, "How you can put a group together to counter marijuana ballot and legislative measures." This was part of the National Project SAM Summit in Florida in July. Part of the materials at that summit, which was timed to coincide with the Community Anti-Drug Coalitions of America's national conference, I guess. So managed to get them in Florida at the same time the CADCA conference was on. Now, I can't prove that any of the Oregon people went to the CADCA conference yet. But at the CADCA conference, there is a document that's handed out that's called Strategizer 31. This is a booklet from CADCA that explains how to push the limits on electioneering with federal funds. And on August 21st, 2014, Mandi Puckett was taking her leave of absence from Best Care. Coincidentally, on the same day the Oregonian ran their story on Best Care, pulling the $15,000 of public funding from the summit and tour. Conveniently, Mandi Puckett is leaving Best Care as they pull the public money, leaving Best Care to become the head of the No on 91 campaign. So, let's just follow the bouncing ball on this for a second. Here's what we untangle from this complicated web. Mandi Puckett combats legalization in Oregon in 2012 using Best Care's federal funds in a clearly political educational summit and tour starring Kevin Sabet. Oregon legalization loses in 2012, but all observers guarantee there will be a legalization attempt in Oregon for 2014. Then Kevin Sabet forms Project SAM in November of 2012 to combat legalization nationwide. 2013 passes with neither legalization on the ballot nor an educational summit and tour in October in Oregon. Then Kevin Sabet recruits Mandi, Puckett, and Best Care to be their Oregon Sam affiliate sometime before May of 2014. Oregon Sam presents at Kevin Sabet's Project Sam event in July of 2014 on how to combat legalization in Oregon. Oregon Sam plans to use Best Care's federal funds to pay Kevin Sabet for a 13-city tour, for which Kevin Sabet is asking $3,000 per city, just prior to ballots being mailed out for the 2014 legalization in Oregon. That's followed by Best Care's Oregon Sam head, Mandi Puckett, leaving Best Care to head the No on 91 campaign to combat legalization in Oregon, just as Best Care pulled their $15,000 of public money on August 21st. Followed by Oregon Sam helping to reorganize the 2014 summit and tour after Best Care dropped out, thanks to a $15,000 gift from the Oregon Sheriff's Association, and at least $2,000 raised between 10 a.m. and 2 p.m. on a Friday, August 22nd, by District Attorney Stephen LaRich from his county office, using his county email, using his county phone, collecting $100, $200, and $500 donations from other district attorneys in their county offices, using their county phones and county emails. Wow. Wow. Teaching people how to secure government grant money to pay yourself $39,000 to educate them? That's one hell of a racket Kevin Sabet has figured out, doesn't he? And I got an attachment back from Jefferson County just this afternoon. I just posted it. It's in the Jefferson DA directory in radicalruss.com/docs. Jefferson DA Doc 198.pdf, which is Kevin Sabet's contract. Got a copy of Kevin Sabet's contract where he indicates, I had earlier documents showing he was asking for $3,000 a city. This contract indicates that when he is signed up for those events, that the people signing him up, people buying his services, are 100% liable to pay him for the event, even if the event is canceled, if they don't rebook it within a year. Except if an event is canceled by an act of God, like a flood or, tornadoes, terrorists, whatever. And then they're only on the hook for $75,000. So that's got me wondering another little question, which is, did they sign this contract with him when it was a 13-city tour that was going to pay him $39,000? Or did they sign this contract when it turned into a 7-city tour for $21,000? Or did he just get $15,000 that the sheriffs put up for him? I've got emails showing at least $15,000. A possibility of $21,000. And if they signed this contract on May 24th, when Kevin Sabet passed it on to these county officials, that was still when the tour was 13 cities and would have been $39,000 that the county would be on the hook, that the presenters would be on the hook for, even if they canceled some of the events. More questions, and you're welcome to look through the documents and help me answer them. We're going to take this into Hour 2, Toker Talk Radio. Stick around for more. We're also going to look at Florida's plummeting polls for medical marijuana. For everyone here at 420 Radio, I'm Radical Russ. Until next time, take care of each other, Tokers.
This is the Russ Belville Show. The Russ Belville Show is blogging and podcasting daily at radicalruss.com.
You grow it, you dry it, you roll it, you smoke it. You take a seed, you plant it, you grow it, you dry it, you roll it, you smoke it. You take a seed, you plant it, you grow it.